The What is up guys, Ghost here, and today we're going to be talking about World War III, one of the games in past that has been hailed as the Battlefield killer, or at least a direct contender to the Battlefield franchise. And in terms of gameplay, it lies somewhere between the sort of more arcadey style of Battlefield and something a bit more hardcore like Armour in terms of realism. Now, this game is just having a tough time, man. So for those of you who know the history of this game, it launched back in 2018, and due to a lot of bugs and server stability issues, the game pretty much fell flat on its face. Now, it was a pay title, it wasn't free to play then, so a lot of the people who bought it, refunded it. They weren't very happy with the experience, and Farm 51, the creators of the game, they went back to the drawing board, they knuckled down, they cracked on for a few years and worked on the game, and in past months and years it has been in closed beta, so for those people who had purchased it, they could play it in the closed beta, and my experience of it has been pretty good. Recently though, it has gone into open beta, and it is available free to play for absolutely anyone. So, should you actually give the game a look, or is it not worth your time? Now, unfortunately, as soon as the game got into open beta, the poor guys at Farm 51, they ended up in the same server stability nonsense again, to the point where I actually uninstalled the game. I wanted to record some footage, I wanted to make a YouTube video on the game and see what the open beta was all about, but there were authentication issues, I could barely log in, and you had to get through a queue before doing that. And even once you logged in, a lot of the time matchmaking would fail. So that now seems to have been resolved. I have reinstalled the game, and that is the footage you're watching at the moment. I had no problem logging in and no problem matchmaking. So as far as I know, the servers are stable now, they're good to go, and they're up and running. Now, there's a lot of things this game does that I really like. The armor system is one thing that lends more towards the side of realism, but really adds an interesting mechanic to the game. So you can equip Kevlar in this game, both in the form of a Kevlar vest or a helmet, and depending on how heavy that Kevlar is, it will affect your mobility. So there's a weight aspect to the game. If you're carrying an RPG, that's going to weigh a little bit more and you're going to move slower. So you can make a more stealthy build, like if you want to be a sniper and you're going to be, going prone on a hill somewhere, maybe you don't need all the armor and you prefer to take the extra mobility. On top of that, the armor itself actually absorbs direct fire, so it's not like armor in other games where it essentially acts as extra hit points. If somebody shoots you in the chest, your armor will actually absorb that impact, and the same goes for your helmet. You'll hear a direct sound cue if you shoot somebody in the helmet of this little ping of the helmet flying off, and then if you hit them again in the head, you will actually be able to headshot them. Now, the great thing about this system though is that if you shoot somebody in the neck area, sort of between the helmet and their Kevlar, you can actually completely negate the armor and circumvent it, but of course you have to be pretty accurate. In terms of gunplay, there is a lot of recoil in this game. You really can't spray and pray, you can't pick people off from ridiculous distances. It's definitely a lot more realistic there, so you've got systems in here like the leaning, you've got looking whilst running as well, which I really like. And another massive highlight in this game is the gun customization. I really hope that Battlefield will actually look at this game and take a leaf out of World War III's book, because both the gun and soldier customization here is, I'm pretty sure, exactly what Battlefield players would love. There's also a backpack system in the game where you can take extra attachments and whatnot with you, kind of similar to Battlefield 2042's Plus system, I suppose, now that I think about it, but you can't change it that fast on the fly. Now, I'm sure you've probably realised from watching the footage in the background here, but the main game mode acts the same as Conquest. You have to capture objectives by standing on them for X amount of time. The more objectives your team has, the more points you will score, and it's the first to 5,000. Now let's talk about some of the stuff that might not go down so well if you're a brand new player, because I've got to come and approach this from the eyes of somebody who's never played this game before. It's free to play, so anyone could download it and jump straight in there, and there are some glaring issues that really do need to be sorting out. So the servers themselves, whilst you can matchmaking without much lag these days, they are pretty laggy when you're in game. I'm not sure what the ping of the other players are because the latency bar is, you know, one of 3 bars. You've got a red bar, a yellow bar, or a green bar. But what I notice is vehicles just hopping around the map randomly. So if you're trying to RPG a tank or, you know, a buggy that's speeding across the map, that becomes very difficult. There's just obviously a lot of lag between players at the moment, which is also going to make hit detection bad. And I have had plenty of instances where it feels to me like I've died behind a wall, and I'm pretty sure that that just comes down to the latency between the players. Now, spatial audio in this game, soldier footstep noises, is very, very loud. If you stand still, you should be able to hear where the enemy is coming from. Now, when I played in the closed beta, the footstep audio was actually really, really good. I'm not sure what changed, but in the open beta now, maybe it's the latency thing again, the audio direction of the footsteps seems to be off. And this keeps on leading me astray. I think somebody's to my left and they're actually behind me. I also experienced the same thing with the fire direction indicator. So somebody directly in front of me would shoot me, but the direction of fire indicator would say that I was being shot from the left or even behind me, of course causing me to spin around and then get killed by the guy who was actually in front of me. In addition, ranking up and leveling up in this game feels painfully slow. So you've got the normal system you can expect from most FPS games. You have a in-game rank that will allow you to unlock the different weapons, and then the weapons themselves have their own individual ranking system. So if you want to unlock attachments for the M16, then you have to use the M16 and rank it up. Unfortunately though, all you start with is the base bog standard iron sight for every weapon, and it is just so huge and obtrusive. It really makes tracking an enemy target difficult because, like I mentioned, there is very, very high recoil in this game. So if you spot an enemy off in the distance, you hit him with a quick burst, you're gonna completely lose target of where he is. Now, maybe this is down to the realism. I guess in real life, using an iron sight will partially feel like that. The problem is, though, once you unlock the red dot sight, things become a hell of a lot easier, and if you're a new player, you're going to be going up against lots of other players who are higher ranked than you, have more unlocks than you, more attachments, they've got fully kitted out weapons, and it's going to be a very frustrating experience for those newer players. So in conclusion here, I'd say there's no harm in giving this game a go. After all, it is free to play, so if you do have a PC, and it is only available on PC on Steam at the moment, give it a go. I think it's got about 10,000 concurrent players most of the time during the day, so go and give it a shot and see how you get on. That being said though, Farm 51 definitely have some work to do on fixing those server issues, fixing the latency, and I think if they do that, hopefully some of those strange instances that I reported will get fixed at the same time. If you do go and check out the game, let me know down below what you think about it. Leave me your thoughts there. I'd like to know those. Thank you very much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.